Wyclef Jean, BKS1 Radio. Let's go.
This is Essence Atkins, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
Yo, check it out. What's the deal? This the chef. Giving a big shout out to my peoples. Big KS, you already know what it is. Salute.
What's up? It's your girl Monifa, and I'm hanging with BKS1 Radio.
Hi, I'm Iyanla Van Zandt, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
BKS Radio, baby.
Hey, this is Jasmine Guy for BKS1 Radio.
What's going on? This is Lamont Rooker, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Shout out to BKS1, the best kept damn secret in the business.
Hey, what's up? This is Raven Goodwin from BET's Being Mary Jane, and shout out to BKS1.
Hi, this is Leon, and you're watching BKS1 Radio.
BKS1. God bless y'all.
Hello, and welcome to BKS1 Radio, the Out Show. It is your girl Chanel, and of course, I am here with my partner, Miss Queen B, and we are back this week for part 2 of our credit episode that began last week. Part 1 was, I think, absolutely amazing and got us a foot in the door on understanding exactly what credit is and how credit bureaus work. And today we're going to go more in depth of exactly what is going on right now. But in the meantime, as we always do, first and foremost, just introducing ourselves and a few hot topics. So Miss Queen B, how are you today?
No real complaints. Just Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. You know. I'm tired, child. That's how I feel in my mother's voice.
Right.
I'm tired, child.
Like, okay, this seems like a after show conversation.
Definitely. I just wanted to, we got to be transparent with our
Yes.
followers. And I'll just say that I'm just extremely just exhausted.
Understood.
The life demands, nothing new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just life demands and, that type of thing.
Understood. Well, I mean, it goes with the territory, but, as we always talk about, you got to make sure you are taking care of yourself as you take care of your family and others. And your health and mental health and well-being is just as important as any and everything else that you have to do in your life. So,
absolutely.
As sister girls, we have to sometimes make sure we remind our other sister girls of that. Because it's very easy to lose sight of that sometimes as we go along on our day to day.
Especially when you are like we are, we just pulled every way. So we can't forget to, that mental health thing is something. It's funny because even while I'm going through what I'm going through as far as just being exhausted, just tired, just every day, with the job stuff, I'm thinking about the mental health of the gymnasts this year in Tokyo in the Olympics.
Right.
Like, what is going on? We got Simone Biles who just resigned, and then we have Naomi Osaka who actually didn't do well, but it definitely is a crisis going on.
Yeah,
like it's something about the mental health of these gymnasts going on right now with USA Gymnasts that I'm just a little concerned about. I'm gonna go and say that it's not just gymnasts. Mm-hmm. It is. I feel like it is across the board. We are in a very strange place for us. Mm-hmm. I'm going to specifically say Black women, and this is not to exclude women of any other race, and this is not to exclude our male counterparts. This is not to exclude anyone, but I just want to specifically talk about some things at this time. Yeah.
Yes, from a Black female's perspective, because that's what I am, and that's who I talk to. But we are in a very strange time period right now where there's so much involved in getting our lives together. All of us are going through pandemics. We're all going through you know, just being women and trying to get households keep households together,
Yes.
trying to keep yourself together while still dealing with things that go on in relationships and divorces and breakups and come togethers and trying to be in relationships and trying to make relationships work. What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your finances? What are you doing with your investments? What does your credit look like? Where are you living? What are you doing with your children? Are you spending enough time with your children? Are you imparting enough in your children? Are you doing enough for yourself? Are you drinking your tea, doing your exercise?
Walking, yes.
You know what I mean? Body image, body shaming. What are you looking like? There's so many body shaming stories on Instagram between skinny girls and big girls, and all of them being Black girls, taunting other Black girls. That it's just crazy right now. It's being comfortable in your own skin, wanting what you want, doing what you do is almost taboo, no matter what it is you do at this point. You make too much money, you're going to get talked about. You don't make enough money, you're going to get talked about. You're in a relationship.
And then wait, just what we define as enough money. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Right. What we define as enough money and all that good stuff. You ain't driving this car if you're not doing this.
You don't have this car, you're doing too, you not doing enough. You drive this car, you're doing too much. You look like this and you're this size and you're not big enough. You're this size and you're too big. You like we are just being scrutinized left and right.
Right.
In social media with any and everything we do. And there are so many people that just get off on criticizing every detail of Black women. With me, as I'm sitting here doing this with my hands, you know, ooh, your nails are too long, that's ghetto. But I don't get my nails done. Well, what's wrong with you? You don't take care of yourself? That's not self-care.
How about
you
don't talk with your hands? That thing. No, what I'm saying is people literally say don't. I mean, that's a common thing for us to do is talk with our hands. You know what I mean?
Right,
and
right.
I think that's another, like you said, it's scrutinized as well.
Yeah, we're scrutinized on every side, and I feel like, especially those of us who are in the limelight. So, you know, a lot of these gymnasts and athletes and entertainers, and there's so much pressure on them to be everything that somebody else within the comment section wants them to be. That so many of us are having a hard time in being ourselves, you know, and it's rough. So, you know, my prayers, love, and light go out to these young ladies, those who are in the Olympics. My prayer, love, and light goes out to Chloe Bailey, who is constantly being bashed because she's exploring her sexuality. And there's so many trolls with, oh, well, you look like this, or, oh, why are you doing this? And, oh, you're acting like this. And, oh, so do you see what I'm saying? Where I feel like it's across the board for us. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. It's just across the board as African-American women, we are being scrutinized no matter what decisions we make in life, no matter what we do, no matter what we look like, no matter what we have, no matter what we don't have. There is just a spotlight and nothing but scrutiny on us as a people right now. And for me, if it doesn't teach me anything, we have to be kind to each other.
Absolutely.
Because at this point, you know, we don't have a lot of people doing that.
Like you said, you know, big your sister up. I always tell everybody all the time. I go out my way to make sure that I compliment a Black female in regards to anything. I don't care what it is. You know, I'm rooting for you, sis. I go out my way to do that. There are times when I'll be thinking one thing, and I say this story all the time. I'll be thinking one thing in my head, and a sister will come up and totally change that, you know, about me, about just what I'm feeling, you know, during the course of any day or whatever. So, like, compliments and just that I feel you, and those conversations with complete strangers, those go a long way.
Of course.
And we definitely need to.
I literally had one of those today.
Really?
While cleaning my pool, I literally had a neighbor yelling over a fence, "Hey, how you doing?"
Like Home Improvement.
Right, literally like Wilson on Home Improvement. And that literally turned into a full
Am I upside down now?
Yeah, you gotta turn.
Sorry.
But that turned into a full sister girl, we gonna meet up after this type moment. So you're right. You never know those kind words and listening ear. You never know exactly how far it's going to go or what it can mean to someone else. And I think that's why it's important that we make sure that we're not always turning a blind eye or just ignoring a sister who could potentially be in need.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And let us recognize that, and shine light on everyone. Everybody has their story. Everybody has their path, their journey. My journey might not look like yours. Yours might not look like mine, but it's a journey. And let's try to be in 2021, less judgmental about paths, about journeys, because sometimes the route that someone takes is not always the bad route. You know what I mean? I had to learn that myself. Some people take the scenic route, and guess what? They still get there. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to say, see you when I get there, or when you get there. You know what I mean?
I see you on the other side.
That's it.
I'll see you on the other side. And guess what? This conversation isn't one for you to because we are in with a generation where every conversation, if you're not a yes man, it's hate.
Absolutely.
Every conversation. Can we say that? If every conversation, if I'm not acting like a fan or agreeing with any and everything you say, it's hate, and that's not true.
I think it's so
that's
funny.
Not true.
Where
know the people that love you and are really imparting in you and not coming at you. And you should be at a point in the relationships where you know the difference.
I think it's funny that, like you said, in this generation or just in this era, because I can't even say a lot. I wish I could say generation, because there are times when our age have adapted those same values and views, right? So I remember, I grew up with a mother that was just brutally honest about everything. I grew up with all boys, so they were brutally honest about everything. I don't care from what I was wearing to what my thought process was, or whatever. And I just think it's funny that now you have to water down things in order to convey a message. You know what I mean? And
that's why people don't have real friendships. That's why people's friends are whomever is on their friends list, because they don't have real authentic friendships and relationships.
Yes.
Because they don't have those connections. So it's a problem. So one sister girl I definitely want to talk about in our hot topics is Miss Issa Rae.
Yes.
Issa Rae, who got married this weekend. Congrats to her. She is definitely one of our favorite girls here on this show. Who,
yes, it is.
Appears to always be unapologetically her in her style, in the way she conveys herself, in any and everything she does. She is just unapologetically her.
Yes.
And I just want to say congratulations. Not that she would know, but just want to definitely say congratulations to her. God bless your union, your marriage, your everything. And it was so funny the way she announced it. So many people were confused. I saw there were so many comments when people were like, no, it was just a photo shoot, like she said. No, read between the lines, people. Read between the lines. She really got married. So congratulations.
Got married in South France. To Louis Diame. I had the pleasure of meeting her. This is when Insecure first came out, right?
Yeah.
And this is after Awkward Black Girl or whatever. And just, I think she is an amazing artist. And I say artist because of what she creates. You know what I mean? And I just think it's just funny because she is the girl inside of us, the girl inside our head. And she just displays it out. It's just I have to chuckle every time I think about her because she just is us. You know what I mean? She just is us. She writes, her content is something we can relate to. Right. I'm sure there's got to be some instances where that was her life in some sense. One character, is sort of her life. It just, a lot of characters that we see in Insecure remind us of our friend group where we've been friends for a really long time. But some people just remind us of us. She fell in love in secret, and I like that.
She's been with him a long time.
She's been with him a long time, but keeping it separate, which is a good thing. All this time, you pretty much see her by herself, and then all of a sudden she pops out married. And I think it's just, it's just funny how, like you said, if you see the comments and you see the comments and you see, people are really, really shocked. She wore Vera Wang to her wedding. She looked absolutely gorgeous. She actually wore 2 Vera Wang pieces. And I just think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. And I just chuckle about it. I wish her well, absolutely well. I know that some people, when they expose their relationships, a lot of times it goes away. You know what I mean? And I just want her to do well. I just want her to do well with it. And I mean, thus far, she's been with him a long time. So thus far, I think, she's good. But South France, do it, Issa. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Kudos and congrats to her. I was so happy when I saw that. That's like you said. I feel she is my friend in my head. I feel like I know her.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
I feel like I know her. I feel like we're friends already. I feel like we could definitely vibe. I'm gonna just segue into something that I definitely cannot vibe with, but I want to run this past you first. So there was an article I read a little earlier in People magazine. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, they're married.
Girl.
And it says that they only bathe their children when they can physically see dirt on them. They only bathe their children when they can physically see dirt on them. I'm going to go ahead and read a little more of this. Mila Kunis says, I wasn't that parent that bathed my newborns ever. I only wash myself with water, no soap. Ashton Kutcher says, I only wash kids when you see dirt on
them.
What did you think? Do you have anything?
I wanted to add that not only that, the thing is, I just want to, what you go through as a child, we often say that what you go through as a child definitely shapes what you are at when you get older. And she said she didn't have a lot of hot water.
Yes, she said she did not have hot water growing up, so she barely bathed anyway. They also said that you should not be getting rid of natural oil on your skin with a bar of soap every day. Instead, you should only be washing with water every now and again.
I'm sorry. We all have a body odor. We all eat different foods. You know what I mean? We just do natural things as humans that require us to wash every day. Now, I am human enough to know or say that there are times when maybe I didn't get it in the morning and I can't go a day without washing. I'm gonna just say that. Like I just can't see me going a day without washing. There are times when I remember, this is the funniest thing. I remember us, and this is the funniest story. I remember us at 4th of July when we did the OWL show, and WBKS when we did 4th of July parade. Mm-hmm. And I remember it being sweltering hot, and we had to transfer. We did the parade, and remember we had to do the thing. And we both, me and you, looked at each other. It was so hot. We were so sweaty. And me and you looked at each other like, I'm going home to take a shower. Like, we were just like, I'm going home to take a shower. So we came back. Of course, the temperature had gone down a little bit, but we came back. We looked at each other. We was like, all right, now it's time to go.
I took 3 showers that day.
That day we took, no. You're
one in the morning.
Right. One in the morning, one in that middle, and then at night when we got off. Home. Absolutely. 3 showers. Absolutely. And I've done that several times. We just, as females, we have to, as males, we have to. I don't believe in I had a roommate like that in college.
So here's my take on that. After reading it, I watch a lot of period pieces. So I like all of the historical. I like to know where the origins of things came from. I went down the whole rabbit hole with this whole English Queen Elizabeth thing. Back in the 14, 15, 1600s, I kind of, went down the rabbit hole with that one. And in the process of doing so, I started doing my own research. I would like Google stuff, the whole thing. Like I was like enthralled with that whole time period, right? Few things I learned. They also did not bathe because they felt like it took away their natural oils, and bathing took away something else from their skin. So they also did not bathe during that time period. One of the things that came from that, when the Black Plague took out half of the nation, it was spread due to the fact that, in no uncertain terms, they were dirty. So lack of cleanliness led to the spread of germs, which led to the Black Plague, which led to death. Now I'm gonna take it before that. Wait a minute. I'm gonna take it before that time period. Okay. Didn't the Moors go and help cultivate Europe to stop them from living with animals in their homes because they weren't bathing and living with animals simultaneously? And so many people were dying from that. Why does history have to repeat itself, especially when we are living in a pandemic? So where you were told to wash your hands 72 times a day. What do you think you were supposed to do with your body?
I just kind of wanted to know what we were all doing before. But what I want to say is the Black Plague, like you say, I just want to reiterate what you're saying, meaning, and just because I'm a nursing, I said I'm a nursing. I am a nurse, and from a nursing standpoint, what you're saying is for the Black Plague, which is something that we actually studied. It was infection. It was sepsis. It was all of that due to, like you said, it was due to bacteria that spread or whatever. And it definitely
comes from dirt. That comes from not washing.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So, and it depended on how your body was involved, regardless. Like you said, it was the not washing part, which spread bacteria and everything. Pneumonia, of course, which was another part of it. So yeah, absolutely. Why does history have to? I guess it just does, But the one thing I would tell you is that as for me in my house, I can't speak for anybody and what they do. But as for me in my house, It's not happening. It's not happening.
With all the money that the two of them have, as a matter of fact, they were in a magazine all of 2 months ago showing their home. Absolutely gorgeous. The ceilings, the furniture, their decor. As a matter of fact, you know what the funny part is? It's their living room looks like an updated barn. Ironically, please Google it. It looks like an updated barn, ironically. And now to tell me that they don't bathe, it just, now to me, anyway. But beautiful home. They appear to be great people. I want to understand, okay, I get you didn't have it growing up, so you didn't bathe anyway. But do you see why it's necessary now as an adult? Right. Mm-hmm. You understand? Like, what did those move? You know what? Next. Anyway, so definitely not feeling that. It definitely is concerning. But hey, they're not concerned about it, and they got a lot more money than I have. So, maybe I'll just go on ahead and mind my business. But to read that, I was honestly taken aback by that. Completely taken aback. In the meantime, on to more important issues, because I want to make sure we don't run out of time today.
Yes, this time I really want to have time.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and let in our guest for today, who was our guest last week on the show. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, last week we were discussing credit, and we dove into credit building. We dove into the different entities that judge your credit and what you should do and how to build. And this week we are going to build on that with what's going on now that we are going through a pandemic. Maybe some tips and things. Where's my notebook? Here it is. On things that we should be doing. So I'm excited about it, and I am ready to go. And these are my notes from last week, everybody. I don't know if you can see those. So I am ready to build. So everybody, please help us welcome back to the Owl Show for part 2 this week, Mr. James Gray.
Yes. In the building.
Hello, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. So glad to be back once again.
Yes.
Nice.
So we up the chat, because I really want to answer questions in real time. So I am pulling up the chat, because we had some questions that I read last week, and we didn't get a chance to discuss. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm here. Yes.
All right, so we're here and we are ready to just dive right back into it. We left off with what is going on in the pandemic and tips and tools for what it is that we should be doing. So first and foremost, how are you this week?
I am doing well. There are no complaints from my side this week at all. Not that you guys even care to hear them. Right? Because we all got our own stuff going on, right?
Listen, if you listen to the beginning, for me, I was like, look, y'all gonna get this today. Right. Today, I'm tired, child. In my mother voice, I'm tired, child. Like, that's how I feel.
But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing really, really well. Happy to be back with you both again, and all of your listeners and all your followers. Yes. How are you guys doing?
We're great. I'm ready. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to talk to you. I'm ready to go.
Okay, good. So, last week we went through a lot of stuff last week, as much as we could. Time caught up to us. Yeah. So I want to jump right in this week, right?
Yes.
I want to do a combination of a couple things today. At least I want to start that way. I ended off last week by talking about, being in the midst and coming through, and I don't know, with all these variants going on now, I don't know if we're coming out of this pandemic or not, or we're going to go right back into something else again.
My goodness.
Yeah, definitely.
But with all that going on, there were a lot of things that happened in Washington, D.C. that affects all of us, right? And so some of those things are positive, right? They're good things, and they are beneficial, or they benefit us. but I want us to be aware of them, right? Because they're going to, some of them will come to an end real soon. And we're going to be looking at what we need to do and how do we navigate and through all that stuff. So when I say stuff like that, I mean, for instance, right, there was a moratorium put on mortgage payments, on student loans.
Yes.
You could have called up, you know, your car loan place and got, you know, help on your car loan. All of those things, because of the pandemic, people were able to get some grace with and find some help with for the period of time until they decide it's going to all be over. Well, we hear that some of that stuff is coming up already, right?
Right.
I know if you are unemployed and you're collecting unemployment, that little extra money they've been giving you is going to stop in September, right? So hopefully you've been real wise with your money, and that little extra, whatever you've been doing, you've been setting it aside because it's going to stop. Or you're at the verge of finding a new job that's going to, you know, help supplement or take the place of that. Also with mortgage payments, right? With car loans, all those things, right? We don't know the exact date yet, but I want to prepare the hearts and minds to be prepared for when that does lift, okay? When it does lift, there's going to be a couple of things that may happen. There's a lot of conversations that are going on right now, and I kind of follow it all because that's what I do in the financial world. So there's a couple of conversations that are going on, right? So when they lift those moratoriums for your car loans and for your mortgages, et cetera, and even people who rent, right? Some people who rent, they were also given a little reprieve for a little while and given assistance on their rent. So all that's going to be lifted. So I want us to be mindful of the fact that here in the United States of America, they're going to come back. These corporations are going to come back and get their money from you somehow, some way. And you need to be prepared for that. Now, mortgage companies, they may tack it on to the end of your mortgage loan. They may do that depending on the company that you have your mortgage with. Some of them, there's conversation that may even find a way to add a little bit more every month to your mortgage, right? But I want people to be aware of the fact that these conversations are happening, right? Nothing's been written down in stone yet, but you need to be prepared for them, because I don't want people out here just losing their homes because you can't make that payment anymore, or finding out that, you know, because you didn't do right by your finances now, you have to go back to paying rent, and you weren't prepared for them coming back asking you for a lump sum or whatever, because we don't know how they're going to come back.
Right.
Against us at the end of the day. So I just want people to be prepared about that. And one of the ways you can do that, of course, is with your credit, right? You need to make sure, because if you have good, stellar credit, you can refinance some of the things that you have, like your mortgage. When you first got your mortgage, your credit might have been right at the 640. But if you fixed your credit and it's gone up to 720, 730, you can refinance that and keep your payments low so you're not hurting with those things. So I want people to be aware of that you have options out there. You have to explore them and research them. And I don't care who you're working with. I believe in doing my own research. I believe in making sure that, you know, whether that go online, whether you read a book or whatever have you, you do your research, you find out what your options are, and you get the best option that benefits you and your family.
Absolutely.
Right? And you have to have these family discussions. You have to. If you're in relationships, partnerships, whatever you're in, you need to sit down as a family and have these discussions. Like, here's what's been going on, here's what's happening now, and here's what we have to look forward to. And don't be shy about having these discussions. These discussions are going to help save you a lot of heartache down the road if you put things on the table now. So I want to make sure that I, stress that to people, because in America, we're built on capitalism, and they're going to ask for that money. They're coming back.
Yeah.
I really don't think that you're going to live a whole year and a half, 2 years free.
Without?
Oh, trust me, they're going to come somehow. But I want to bring up all that stuff to you because they haven't decided yet how it's going to look. But rest assured, there's going to be some sort of plan put together, and it may not be to your advantage. So start preparing yourself now so that you don't get hit so hard with it, right? And like I said, one of the ways to do that is you fix your credit. If you fix your credit, you can refinance your auto loan, you can refinance your mortgage, you can lower your car insurance rates. It affects so many things if you fix your credit. So I just wanted to put that out there. And that's why I was heading towards when I started talking about the pandemic, because these things are really coming up. They're coming up fast. Now, again, we don't know what's going to happen. All these variants going on. We could be in the house another year. Who knows? I don't know. But in case we're not, let's get prepared to get back out there. Anybody have any questions for me before I move on?
I think it's absolutely I'm excellent that you brought that up. But the first things first is, like you said, the unemployment thing. A lot of people were getting the extra, and with the extra, instead of them getting the extra and kind of putting it on something else, or setting certain things aside, or just like you said, this pandemic honestly was the time. And I know, honestly, I'm not even judging anybody. I know for a lot of people, it was hard to even keep your credit intact. But if this was the time, if you were able to sustain your job, if you were able to do whatever, this was the time to actually get your credit in order.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely.
And a lot of people didn't take advantage of that. A lot of people did not take advantage. Now, don't get me wrong. To the ones that couldn't, you couldn't. Yeah. Because there was a life-changing event for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But to the ones that could, to the ones that did have the extra, instead of spending it, me, I'm a goofball, but spending on crab legs, you know what I mean? And and just no, I saw it. Spending on just frivolous things.
Take my Black Card, because I don't like food that I gotta wrestle with to eat. Why I gotta use not like hammers and it's still I gotta bite in the shells. I'm like an animal. But I just take my Black Card because it ain't me. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
So anyway, y'all know I'm a goofball, but it's just all the stuff that I saw everyone leaping out here. Yes, they were practically giving cars away, but that does not mean that you had to go out there and leap out there and get something that later on you could not afford.
Well, now they're not giving cars away, so
yeah, and right. So a lot now. A lot of people really jam themselves because, like you said, they started doing audits. I have some people that I know, they started doing audits for unemployment. So even though they stopped like the extra 300, there are some people that got cut off before that because they were like, wait a minute, you didn't qualify, and then that puts you in deficit. So like you said, it's very important that we understand that they're going to lift all these things. Listen, I was happy that they did for the student loans and things like that. I was super excited about that. But if you didn't pay on your loan, if you didn't pay some interest, if you didn't do some things while you had, there were certain things that you could have done in order to just stay afloat on things, and a lot of people didn't know to do that.
Yeah, and I advise a lot of people. I advised a lot of people in my book of business that, listen, if you can continue it, don't stop any of your payments. Pay as if things were normal with you. So that way you're not going to be a part of that crowd at the end who's really going to be really pushing and trying to make up these payments and get things done. And at the end of the day, let's be really, really honest about this. There were people who were working still. There was stimulus checks given out.
Yes.
There are child tax credits now coming out
every
month, And so there were the people that, were still working and getting all this. You were getting a lot of money in. I just want you to be wise with it. That's all. I want you to be wise so that you don't end up losing anything because, as you said, you decide to have a crab boil at your house and invite all the neighbors over to your backyard.
It was like, where she get
not my house. Not my house.
Listen, not mine either, because I'm allergic to shellfish, so not mine.
My daughter too. I think yes. I saw during a pandemic. I'm gonna be honest. Like the most I did was to get out. I remember we were shut down in the beginning, and I did a lot of going to the grocery store. It was like, that was like the mall for me. Like, all I could do was go to the grocery store. Guys, you want to cook, whatever today. But like you said, there were certain things that the stimulus, oh my God, stimulus checks. If you got, unfortunately, I had kids older. I mean, I had kids young. So I didn't qualify for all of those things. Yeah. But for those that did, who had multiple children that qualified and got, certain money, I know people that actually bought houses with that money. I know people that actually, repaired their credit with the money, and then the excess money, they bought houses and did things that were just, like you said, the government just don't give away money, and you have got to be wise with that. And I think a lot of people didn't do that. So now we're here. Yep. Now we're here. And fixing credit is imperative. Like you said last week, it's just, you have to change your lifestyle.
Absolutely. And
I'm gonna be honest, and we said this last week, just reiterating last week, we were not taught this. I don't think my mother, and thank God for her rearing, but I just don't think that the teaching of credit was a thing. So, I answered the call when they called my mother and she said, tell them I'm not home. That type of thing. I did that. You know what I mean?
We definitely touched on the reasons why so many of us don't know. But even now, James, why do you feel it's such a taboo topic almost in our community?
I wish I really had the answer to that. I do not have the answer to why it is still such a taboo topic. I do know that it really does not have to be that way. This is real testimony right here. I've had people who I have sat down with to consult. I'll never forget this one young lady for real. Like, she literally started sweating while we were trying to pull up her credit score and her reports. Like, I'm like, this is really not, it really doesn't affect you this way. But, she was an example of how our community feels about their credit score.
Wow.
Of all your family gatherings, birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, nobody's sitting around talking about their credit. Nobody brings it up at all. Matter of fact, nobody brings it up until somebody gets denied for something that they want. And they don't tell you what the score is. They say, I need your help.
Right.
Can you sign here for me? Can you can you loan me this? Because I don't have the money for the down payment. Nobody talks about it in our community.
But it's such a secret.
It really is such a secret. You would think you had a secret godchild somewhere.
I want to be like, I'm doing that. I need to know what you did. Like,
you better not ask anybody about credit or credit score or whatever. The most you're going to get in a typical Black family is, well, does so-and-so have a credit card? Because I want to do this. Well, let's see. I think Auntie so-and-so got one. And so maybe she can help with blah, 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 blah. But outside of that, no one is ever turning around and saying, well, why haven't you established credit?
Right.
True story for me.
Why didn't you? Why didn't you try to work on yours? Why didn't you try to? And it's amazing to me. And I was actually having this conversation not too long ago. It's amazing to me that us as a people with the hustle mentality that so many of us have and don't let go of, it's crazy that even the ones that did succeed hustling, actually hustling, those that did succeed, what did you do with your money?
Yeah.
Why didn't you put yourself in a better position? Why didn't you establish yourself so that you could have something? Because at one point in time, every hustler has that story of how much money they made. What did you do with it?
Right.
Why didn't you better yourself with it?
Right.
You know what I mean? So and still to this day, when something is needed, it's, well, maybe auntie, well, maybe grandma, well, maybe
Oh, grandma had it.
Grandma,
back in the day, grandma did it.
Nana can always help,
Nana.
but we don't do it ourselves. And other cultures, their children are in high school talking about, when I go to college, I think the APR is going to be this if I get a loan. So I don't want to do that. I completely understand it. And in the meantime, we know nothing.
And I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I want to point out that you did bring up is, we talk about, well, why didn't you set yourself up better? But even a step further, why didn't you set up for your children to be successful? Right? Why do we have to continue this cycle of having bad credit, not being able to have things, and continue it through our bloodlines, through our family lines? When is somebody going to break that chain and say, let's all sit down and talk about it? I did a post recently challenging some people to say, hey, call your family members or your closest friends together. 5 of you come together. If 5 of you come together and you build up your credit score to 700, then you go out there and you get credit cards for $20,000 and $30,000. That's $100,000 that you all can use to start a business. Right? And so, of course, in our communities, right, and I know we get a little bit, down this rabbit hole a little bit, but of course, in our communities, we're so concerned. This is why we don't talk about credit. We're typically, and I hate to use this analogy, so forgive me for anybody that's going to come after me later. We have this crab in the barrel mentality, right? If one crab is trying to get out the barrel, you got another one down there grabbing on, trying to pull him down, trying to get over top of him, because I think that if Chanel gets out, she gonna think she better than me. She all this, that, and the other. She's gonna forget about me. So no, I'm gonna pull her down. I'm gonna keep her from getting out.
I remember when Chucky had got a credit card, and then he got in trouble when he got his card, and I'm just not doing that because, and you do it if you want to.
Yes.
You better than me. You know that passive aggressive backhanded compliment we give each other. You better than me.
Absolutely.
When Chucky got it, so I'm not doing it. Huh?
Yeah, and we have to break that. And so my hope, and even being in this business and talking with you ladies today, and everybody listening,
and just everybody listening, yes,
as we proceed, is that we break these chains.
Yes,
we end these cycles where, number one, talking about your credit is so taboo.
Right.
Especially, I always give everybody a lot of grace, because I'm saying, in our communities, nobody ever taught us. So listen, you don't have nothing to feel bad about.
Right.
If it's low, if it's bad, it's because nobody taught you. You better take that and run with it. Nobody ever taught me or told me anything. So now that I know that, though, now I want to fix it. I want to get it better so that I can leave a legacy to my children, and I can build a business, right?
Yeah.
One of the key things that the pandemic taught me is that you need to have multiple streams of income in this pandemic, right? And so ways you do that is you build up your credit and you start your own businesses, right? You do things. I know so many people who are starting their own things who are, it may not have taken over their complete salary yet, but it's adding a nice little supplemental income to what they already have.
Okay.
Right? And when you move into entrepreneurship, now you're talking about additional tax write-off. So I'm going to leave that right there, right? Because I know we can go too far, and before it's long, y'all be waving your hand at me in a minute.
No.
No,
but that was good. Okay.
No.
There are a couple of things I do want to make sure that I get across, though, to everyone.
Okay.
So the one thing I want to talk about today is what makes up your credit score. What are the credit factors that make up your credit score? Because this is important, right? You need to know exactly what goes into your credit score so that you don't make the mistakes or you right the wrongs, okay? So the first thing that you need to know is 35% of your credit score is made up of your payment history.
Okay.
This is why we talk so often about not having late payments. And this is why late payments hit your credit score from anywhere from 90 to 100 points, because that 35% makes up the chunk of your credit score. So your payment history is important. It's important that you pay your bills on time. And I always say, even if you have to pay the minimum, pay it on time. If you can't afford to pay it all the way down or pay it all the way off, pay the minimum and pay it on time. But do not incur a late payment. A 30-day late payment will hit your credit score for 90 points. So
that's the thing. Even with late payments, if you're, like you said last week, even if your due date is the 10th of every month, I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. But you do know that even if you don't get it on the 10th, please get it in somewhere in those 29 days before it's a 30-day late payment.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm not encouraging that, because again, I'm definitely going to follow what you said last week about making it 2 weeks and then 3 days ahead of time.
Yeah, I took that into that as well. Yeah. But
for those who are just, you know, making, you know, basic payments, even if it's not the day of, please, somewhere within 29 days of that due date, get it in so it's not reported.
Right. Yeah. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely right. You know, we, again, like you said, I'm going to reiterate it, of course, I want you to make it on time. But if you don't, you're absolutely right. You do have a little window. You can take advantage of that window and get your payment in. But one thing you don't want to do is go past that 30-day and then allow it to hit your credit report, because that late payment will hit your credit report. And it's going to cost you 90 points. And it's not, and then it can be taken off, but it's not going to be an easy task to do right away because it just happened to you, right? So you want to make sure that you don't have that incur. Make sure that that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
30% of your score is based on the amount you owe, credit owed. So I think I talked a little bit about this last week as well. If you have a credit card, right, and your available limit is $1,000, you should only be using up to $300 of that, right? That's the 30% threshold, right? You want to make sure you stay under that. Well, when you go above that, that credit that you owe, that's 30% of your credit score. So it's going to affect you negatively. So a lot of time when you go above that 30%, you're at 35 and 40%, you'll see your credit score could take anywhere from a 35 to a 50-point drop. And that's the reason why, because 30% of your credit score is dependent on the amount you owe.
Okay. On
the amount I know people, we talk a lot about, and I see your hand, Chanel, I'll get you in just one second. I know people talk about, your debt to income ratio, right? So that doesn't include your student loans you owe and all that. That just includes what you owe on that credit or credit cards, right? Okay. That is past due, or not past due, but is waiting to be paid. Put it that way. Yes, ma'am.
So let me ask you a question. So if I have a credit card where my spending limit is $1,000, and say I want to buy the new, I don't know, somebody's bag came out, it's $700, right? So let's say I'm buying it before my payday. So I want to buy the bag. I want to charge the bag. So I'm charging $700 of $1,000 balance. If I pay down to below $300 before the due date and before it's reported, does that count for anything? Or they're going to say she utilized it, it went past 30%, it doesn't matter when?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It is going to lower your score.
That's exactly what they're going to say. It has nothing to do with your due date, right? So your due date specifically is when you owe your bill in, right? We talked about that last week. This is why we split the payments up. But when you use your credit and your credit limit, your usage goes over that 30%, that may be reported to the credit bureaus at any given time of the week, right? Nothing is not attached to your due date or anything. So if you use it above that 30%, they get that calculation. They're going to ding your score right as soon as they get it. As soon as they get that calculation. Has nothing to do with you. That's why I always tell people, you can use it for the entire $1,000 if you want to. It's going to bring your score, but if you pay it back down, it'll bring your score back to where it needs to be, right?
So how soon when you pay it down does it bring your score back to where it needs to be?
Well, it'll bring it back down when it says time report, when it's the time to report. So you would have to wait. But here's the key to this. Here's the key to how this whole thing is played. The key to it is this: make sure that if you do that, you're not going out needing to do something with your credit, right? Because if you use that $700, that $1,000, now they see that you've used well over 50%, 60% of your card. You go out and you want to get something, a car, and you thought your credit score was at a 720, but you go and look at it, it's at a 660. And that's because they've already reported that you've used too much of your credit. They call it credit utilization, right? That you've used too much of it. So those are the things to keep in mind. You can use it for up to that limit if you want to, but just know that you're going to get dinged. And know that if you do that, you can bring it back to where it's supposed to be when you pay it down. But just don't want, that's crazy. Try not to go out and get anything with it until your score gets back to where it's supposed to be.
Where it needs to be. Understood. Thank you for that.
Okay.
My other question, when you were talking about the 35% on-time payments and we were talking about splitting the payments up with 2 weeks to 3 days ahead of time, does that apply to car loans or is that just credit cards?
You can do it mostly applies to credit cards. Most car loan places and mortgages may not accept that, right?
Right.
They want you to send that one payment in and get it on time. But mostly for your credit cards, that applies to.
Okay.
And that when I'm not saying I'll touch base on it. That applies to revolving credits, and credit cards are what they call revolving credit.
Right.
Okay? 15% of your credit score is your credit history. So remember last week when I said, if you open a card, get ready to live with that card, right? If you have cards that are open and you've made mistakes on them in the past, if they're not closed already, clean them up, because what happens is that credit history stays with you. And that credit history is 15% of your score. So they love to see, and people always ask me, how do I get to 800? There's so many factors into that. But one of the big factors is your credit history. They love to see you having long periods of history of credit payments somehow. So anything that's 2 years to 5 years to 6 years to 10 to 15 years, that bodes well for your credit score, right? So credit history makes up 15% of your score. 10% of your score is made up of the variety of credit that you have, right? So we talked about having credit cards. That's revolving credit. Another part about that is installment credit, right? That's your car loans, your mortgages, student loans, all those installments, meaning that payment doesn't change. That payment stays the same. You just pay it off every single month until that, you bring that balance down. But those are the types of variety of credit that they love to see on your credit report. And when people try to get to 800 and that ultimate 850 score, that's what they want to see. They want to see that you have a mixture of revolving credit and installment credit, right? They want to see you have mortgages, car payments, and loans, and student loans, and credit cards, and they want to see all of that.
So let me ask you a question right there. How is it possible to establish credit when you eventually are going to get to a point where there's too many things being opened at one time?
Okay, first of all, you only get to the point of having too many things open at one time if you open too many things at one time. There's never going to be a cap on a number of things you can have open, okay? It just depends on the period in which you open them. They do not like to see you open more than 3 or 4 items within a 2-year period.
2 years?
Yes, 2 years. So I always tell people, it's about making decisions, right? If I'm going to get a home this year and a car this year, then I may have to wait on getting a high limit credit card, right? I may have to just hold off until I establish my 1 year paying off these things and then go for that next piece of credit that I want, right? So that's the rule of thumb right there. You can have as many credit items as you want to. I know people who have, 15 credit cards. Great. Who wants to keep up with all those things? I don't know. But have 15 credit cards because, you know, in my world, I tell everybody you need to use them at least once a month. So who wants to use all that every single month? But so there's no limit on how many you can have. Just the time period in which you opens them up can hurt you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because the last thing I was going to talk about is the type of credit. They don't want to see you open up, which is 10%, too many types of credit within a specific window of time, right? And so, you know, I would tell people who get a credit card, you know, this month, okay, you got one this month, or should I go get another one? Slow down a little bit. Slow down a little bit, because what's going to happen is you're going to go apply for that. Then they're going to do a hard inquiry on your credit, and that's going to bring your score down, right? And you might get the card, right? And then you're going to take you a couple of more months to establish that credit back up again. So you can have as many lines of credit that you want to, that you responsibly can take care of. And I threw in that word responsibly. You can responsibly take care of. That's not a problem. The only thing you need to be concerned about there is when you open up that credit, that line of credit. So
in the event that you opened up multiple lines in a 2-year time period, and your score dropped maybe, I'm going to say 30, 40, maybe 60 points, what is the time period that after the last thing you've done, it can start to go back up again?
So that will vary, right? That varies on what you open up, right? If you opened up a credit card will start building up your credit kind of right away, as long as you start using it responsibly, right? If you opened it, use it. Yes, absolutely. You know, I gave that last week. If you open it up, use it. Okay. If you go in that store, you want that store credit card, plan on using it. If you want that bank credit card, plan on using it. I don't care what it is. If you open it up, plan on using it. Okay. Because
so it's bad not to use it?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, because the downside to that is when you don't use something, they will do one of two things. They will close it for you because you have no usage, or they may drop your credit limit. So a lot of times you'll see people
negatively.
Absolutely. You'll see people, oh, I have a card that's $5,000. You didn't use it at all for, let's say, 6 months, 7 months. Then they drop you down to $3,000.
Wow.
So they'll drop your credit limit for you. So
and that's going to affect your score negatively. Absolutely. Because you went in and dropped it. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. We had a situation here where we opened I have a family member that applied for a Home Depot card and received a card in the mail with a high limit.
Okay.
And then received a letter the next day from Equifax saying, you were not approved for this card for these reasons.
Oh, wow.
But then got the card, activated the card, has the high limit, but now we're confused because we received a letter the day after saying you were not approved because.
Well, now I've never seen that case. But here's what I would tell you. If I got the card,
use the card.
The card is mine.
If you got the card, and the thing is that even though Equifax says you're not approved, if you have the card and you don't use it, it will affect your score negatively because the card has been established in your name.
Absolutely. Your name. And you know, I'm going to give another couple points in a minute, but those are things you want to watch and keep on top of, right? You want to make sure, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. You want to make sure of the things that are hitting your credit report and how they're hitting your credit report. That's so vitally important in all of this stuff, right? We talk about, you know, fixing your credit and whatever have you. My first, and I think I'll go to that right now. My first thing is that I need everybody, and I gave you guys this last week.
Yes.
And these are going to be like 6 tips that you can do right now to help you raise your credit score.
Okay.
In the next 100 to 120 days.
Okay.
The first thing, if you know anything about me, I'm an educator first, is that you need to pull your credit reports and find out exactly what's on them. You need to find out what's on your credit reports. Now, I gave you guys that last week. Here it is again. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. And up until April 2022, because of the pandemic, you can order all 3 of your credit reports for free. Normally, you only get that once a year, and then you have to pay. So take advantage of that. Take advantage that you can get your credit reports for free, and you can look at them and go over them and see what's on them. I went over somebody's report the other day that had never looked at the reports in a long time. They have a good credit score, but then they found something on there that was sitting on their credit report. And then they found, like I told you guys before, they found some names that were not their names.
Oh, wow.
These things are important for you to do. So order your credit reports because it's important for you to know what's on your credit report.
These are free?
Those are free on annualcreditreport.com.
I am on there right now.
Me too. Oh my God.
They are free, and you can order all 3 credit reports. I'll give you a little tip. When you go in to order them, they're going to ask you a bunch of your security questions, of course. You got to go through one by one, each one at a time, right? And then you don't have a way. If you print them out, then that'll be it. But what I say do is hit print, but then save them as a PDF.
Gotcha.
That way you can save them to your desktop or your laptop and go back to them later.
Okay.
Because the site will time out on you.
Gotcha.
And make you go back in. All right.
Okay.
All right. So don't do it right now while y'all talking to me.
Because it's going to time out.
Yes. Okay. All right. So you want to go there and get your credit reports. Number 2, you want to dispute the negative items that are on there. You want to dispute the negative items that are on there. Now, this is a plug for me and my business, right?
I don't got time. I'm coming to you.
That's what you do. You come to dispute your items. Now, what we see more times than none is that most people get updates in their scores in the first 90 days. I actually had a woman yesterday. I'm gonna give this testimony. Monday was my day to check up on scores on my clients. Her score went up 161 points, and it's only been 45 days. 45 days. So imagine, she was in the 500s, now she's in the 700 club, right? So just by disputing the negative things that are on your report can help your score jump up significantly. And that's why it's important to get your reports, to know what's on them.
And that's why it's important that I was supposed to call you last week. And
I was going to let you live on this call. I was going to let you live on this call, but I was going to hit you up after this. I was going to let you live.
Yeah, no, I had so much going on last week. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But I am this week.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Look at y'all. Y'all made me forget my question.
Sorry.
So my question to you is, yes. So you dispute. So I've gone to someone who has did my credit, raised it. It was okay. Not that it wasn't, bad. It was okay. For a little while.
Okay.
Do you know the difference in what you should dispute and what you shouldn't? Because, of course, you're not going to dispute my car note. Of course.
I may.
You may.
I may. I'll tell you why. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. See, that's why you do this and I don't. Mm-hmm. So car note. Say, I took out a line of credit or whatever like that. I mean, a loan of credit. I'm sorry, a loan. And it's being, paid on time, whatever. Do you dispute that? It's like certain things I'm a little like, some things are positive for me. Mm-hmm. So I don't want those taken away.
Absolutely. So, and you're right. And so you initially, sometimes you may dispute everything that's on there. And here's why. Because as I said last week, the Fair Credit Reporting Act that was passed in 1970 says you as a consumer have a right to dispute everything on your credit report. Now, that's not the important part. The important part is because we found that over 85% of most credit reports have errors, right? So even if you do have your car loan on there, just for instance, let's say that you know your car loan to be with so-and-so Ford company, and your loan was for $23,800. But on your credit report, it's showing that your loan was for $32,800. They flipped that number. It's an error. It's an error. But if you don't dispute that, what you'll find is that you'll get to the end and you thought you paid off $23,000. They'll be like, no, you still owe us another $8,000 on this car. So you may dispute everything because what you want to find out is that, number one, there are no errors on your credit report. That everything that's being reported about you is accurate.
Properly. Okay.
And that's what the law said the credit bureaus have to establish, that whatever they hold about you has to be accurate information, right? So you may dispute it all. The other thing about disputing is what I talked about this before too. I had many people who had stuff on their credit report that's way past 7 and 10 years.
Right.
And there is no law that says it has to stay on for 7 or 10 years. But it's been sitting on this so long and it's holding your score down.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you want to keep that? Even though you did go and buy that piece of jewelry, you did go out there and rent that car, whatever you did, but it's been sitting on your credit report for the last 12 years. Right? And because we all said we've done some stuff when you got to college, when you're younger, you get cars, you don't even remember half the stuff you did, right? And so
and older, I ain't even gonna hold you.
But yes, but you want to make sure that everything that's on your report is correct and it's accurate and it's up to date and it belongs to you. Remember, I know how to spell your name because I've seen your name, but what if somebody else spelled your name incorrectly? Or how about this? Because we talked about this a little bit too last week. That is really prevalent right now, right? And what is that?
Identity theft.
There you go. Identity theft. It's really prevalent out here right now. I heard a news story. Unfortunately, the people that passed away in Florida from the building collapse. But there were people out there using their names. They hadn't even found all these people's bodies yet. And there are people out there using their names and trying to use their identity to get stuff.
Wow.
Oh my
And
God.
all those things go on and you may not even be aware of it. Sometimes you might get an alert on it if you have certain alerts set up from your banks and whatever have you, right? But a lot of us don't have that.
Yeah.
So that's why you would want to go out and dispute everything. Now they'll come back and they'll say, well, no, that's hers. We verified, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But that's what you want to happen. You want to make sure that whatever's on your report is on you and should be on you. And whatever's not, we get taken off.
Okay.
And you see your score increase.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's the question. You answered my question because I wanted to know because I definitely need to sign up. I just want to do some things before the end of the year. And I know it requires me to have the proper credit. And I want to, and I've made some, and I mean, like I said, we're all transparent here. I've made some foolish things. I've done some crazy stuff,
Absolutely.
I am not embarrassed, I'm not like I've been handing you over my stuff. Help me. That's it. Help me.
The good thing, that's what I'm here for. And I'm sitting in this chair because I was the same way until I came into the knowledge and understanding. Right. Okay. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I know how it can transform your lives. I know how it can change everything about not just for you. I'm going to continue to say this, not just for you, but for your family.
That's important. Yes.
For your family. I had a young lady hit me up today and said, what can I do to start helping my daughter build up her credit score? I said, how old is she? She said she's 17. I said, add her to your credit card. If you're using it responsibly, add her to your credit card. It'll build up her credit before she even needs it, so that when she goes off to college and whatever, she already has a good credit score. When she comes out, she doesn't have to worry about, I need a co-signer for a car, mommy. I need somebody, give me an extra money loan. No, she already has an established credit score based off of your good behavior.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Point number 3. So we talked about disputing negative item. Point number 3. Credit cards, we already talked about this a little bit. If you're using them, make sure this is a big jump in your score. Make sure you got them all under that 30%. All of them under that 30%.
30%. So
if it's $1,000, you should only be using $300. If it's 50, show me 450.
Yeah, James. You know,
get them down. Get them down.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, payday is Thursday.
Yes. So,
but once you guys put yourself to a challenge, once you put your own selves and your families to a challenge, let's say for the next, this year has gone by fast already.
Right.
Let's say for the next six months to the end of the year, we're going to lock in on getting our finances correct.
Okay.
We're going to pay down debt. We're going to, you know what? Because here's the thing, we're all, I'm a big, although I know there's no Santa Claus, I'm a big sucker for Christmas. I love giving. Mm-hmm. And so we're all going to go out for the holidays and shop, even though we might say we don't do it, we're going to do it anyway. Right. We're going to gather with family, we're going to eat food and do all this other stuff. Once you put yourself on a challenge for the next few months, say, okay, as a family, as an individual, I'm going to lock in on my finances a little bit because here's what I need to do. I want to get a house next year. I want to get a new car next year. I want to start a business next year. And I always tell people you want to do it now so that you're prepared and you know exactly what you're working with before you go. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they go to the car dealership, they go to look for the house and the mortgage company and don't even pay attention to their credit score. And then wonder why they get denied. Wondering why they got to put more money down. So, I know we laugh about it, but put yourself through a challenge. You guys, you strong for this.
No, that's a very good. Yeah,
this is an Out Show Family Challenge officially starting today. What is today? 7/27. The challenge has begun to raise our scores 100 points, whatever they are.
Yes,
absolutely.
Whatever they are.
I'm fine with that.
So that when we come out of this crazy 2021, you go into 2022 knowing, okay, I got some big goals on tap here now. We about to go get it. We about to go make it happen, Yeah. So put yourself through that challenge.
100-point challenge. That's what we're calling
100-point. Got it.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
So that was number 3. Credit cards, 30%. We talked about that. If you're already using credit cards and you've been responsible about using your credit cards, right? You've been really responsible. You've been paying them on time. You don't have late payments. You don't have payments that you missed, whatever have you. You can ask for a credit limit increase. Right? If you've had that car for 6 months to a year, you can ask for a credit limit increase. What does that do for you? Number one, it gives you more money you can use. But number 2, when they increase your credit limit, it'll raise your score a little. Because right now we're talking about how to raise your score, right? In the next 120 days. So it'll raise your score up as well. So you can ask for a credit limit increase for the cars that you have in your possession now and that you've been using responsibly. There are no late payments. There are no missed payments. There's nothing wrong with your account. Ask for a credit limit increase.
Okay.
Here's a big one, number 5. I stressed this before as well. Pay all of your remaining bills on time. We talked about that payment history, right? 35% of your score. Pay your bills on time. Set yourself up on auto payments. If you're like me, what I did early on is that you can have, money debited from your check right away. So it doesn't come in your hand if you don't feel as though you're responsible. Hey, you know what? By the time I get my check, it's looking smaller, but all the bills are paid already. So I don't have to worry about it. So set up some auto payments, right? But pay them all on time. That's a big factor. Number 6. Now, this is only if you know somebody that is very responsible. And if you're being responsible, you have spouses and partners, significant others, you can add each other onto your credit cards. Now, what did I say was the key word here? Responsible. Because good behavior can be rewarded. But that means the opposite to that, right? Bad behavior will affect you as well. Okay? And I use the same thing with adding your children to your credit cards as well.
Yes.
No, you're not good and responsible yet. Don't do it. Wait until you become more responsible and you really know what you're doing. But if you are, you can add somebody as an authorized user. What does that do? Let's just say, for instance, your husband, your partner, your spouse, whatever have you, your brother, your sister, your mama, whoever has a credit card they've had for 15 years. That credit card history will now be on your report. And we talked about their history plays a key factor in your credit score. So all that history that they have will be added to your credit report, and you'll see a jump in your credrit score.
What is that piggybacking called?
You can sign them up as an authorized user. I mean, it really is called piggybacking. I mean, that's the term, but it is called, you can add them as an authorized user. You don't have to give them the card at all. I'm just adding your name. And by doing so, you know, that's going to help build up your credit history and your credit score. But if they have one with a long history on it that they've treated really well and they've been responsible for, you will see a nice jump in your credit score. Gotcha. So those are ways you can build up your score in the next 120 days, right? And I encourage everybody to really, and we already put it out there. There's a challenge out there already.
Yeah, we already have our 100-point challenge.
That's right, and this is the time to do it. This really is the time to do it, right?
Right.
If you kept your job, even if you didn't keep your job, this is the time to do it right now, so that while not much is going on, things are slowly opening back up. But you can say, I'm getting myself ready for what I'm going to do next year. By the time I get to the holidays, I want to be in a great place where we can really celebrate the holidays. And going into next year, we can go and look at that house. We can go look at that new car. Whatever we want to do, we can do that.
Hopefully this housing thing bubble bursts, but you know, like, hopefully this thing bursts, because I'm not offering you $20,000 over your asking price, but that's a whole nother conversation at this point. But but these are great. You know, these 6 tips are great and definitely something that I plan on doing. I'm actually going to text you right after the show to see if you're available at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we're definitely going to put this 100-point challenge into place from now until the end of the year, and I'm excited about it. I'm ready to go, and I'm definitely thank you for all of these tips and explaining everything, because these are the conversations that we should be having. These are the classes that we should be teaching, and this is what we should be imparting not only in ourselves and our peers, but in the next generation as well. So
absolutely, I'm glad you said conversations, because I was going to try to end with that point. I want us to change our conversations with our families. We gather for the holidays, and that is fantastic and wonderful. We have great times. But somebody start having the conversations about not just our physical health, but our financial health.
Absolutely.
Somebody started having these conversations. Now, of course, I'm a financial coach, so I talk about everything. But have the conversations about credit. Yes. Have the conversations about savings. Have the conversations about insurance, both life and health. Let's start having those conversations with our family to make sure that we're covered. Absolutely. And if somebody knows what's going on. I think the greatest injustice we can do to our families is to leave this earth and leave them behind with a bunch of our debt, right? And having no insurance and having to do a GoFundMe to bury me and all this other stuff. Let's break that chain. You know, because it doesn't cost us a lot. When you think about how much you spend on just a weekend out, you can't even take kids to Great Adventure.
Oh, no.
Today without spending a couple of $100s. You could take that same couple $100s and buy you some life insurance. So absolutely. I want us to start changing our conversations at the holidays, at our birthday gatherings and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying you got to be a downer, but while you're in the middle of that dance floor and you doing what you do, hey girl, what's your credit like? What you looking like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have these conversations so that we can change, you know, the temperature and the flavor of our lives.
Absolutely. Listen, on that note, because we're coming to the end and I don't want to go over like we did last week where our producer's like, you got to end the show. But this was great. This is necessary. And while we pride ourselves on the show on having necessary conversations for us to heal as a people, this is a part of it. It's like you said, this financial part is definitely a part of it, because feeling good, going back to church, it is great. But what happens when you can't purchase these things? Or, you know, money is a defense. Credit is a defense, you know, for all the things that can come at you in life. And if you can't do anything about it, then you know, what do you have? So this is absolutely everything. Again, I am going to hit you right after the show because I want to see what time you're available tomorrow morning. But I absolutely love it. I love all of the tips, and it's not as hard and as difficult as people make it out to be. And because a lot of times we shy away from what we don't know, and instead we would rather live in debt and live in having bad credit the rest of our lives than actually, you know, taking the responsibility to do something about it. So, you know.
Yeah. And it's been proven that, you know, finances, I know we got to go, but, you know, finances are a big reason for divorces, right? Finances are a big reason. This has been proven in study, are a big reason for health issues.
Absolutely. Not
just from not being able to pay to go to doctors and stuff and get your medication, but also when you can't pay your bills, it brings on hypertension.
Being worried about all the things you want to do in life that you can't do.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. Queen B, did you have any final thoughts?
The first thing I just want to say is thank you so much for taking the time out to educate us. The thing is that we do a lot of with our platform, we do a lot of encouragement and empowering and all of that good stuff to make us better as like a people. And it's not just for females, but for everyone as a whole, for our culture, for people in general. And I appreciate you taking the time out. We did not have that growing up. I appreciate what you do. I will be seeing you. I don't care. My credit sucks. I have actually just being, you know, where I work and what I do. There are a lot of times when I see people of a different culture that I'd listen to the conversations, and the conversations are different. And that's how I learned a lot of the things that I did learn. But I appreciate that you taking the time. I actually just asked them to increase my credit while we were on the phone with Navy Federal Credit Union. Asked them to increase my credit, but I think it's imperative that we start having these conversations, like you said. I think it's imperative that we teach. Like, legacy is important, is really, really important. And what we do financially, as they watch us, you know, as our children watch us, what we do with our life, they also watch what we do with our finances as well. And it's very, very important for us to really, really get a handle on this thing so we can, you know, be homeowners, and we can, you know, do a lot of just owning businesses and things like that, and taking back the things that we used to do in the past. You know what I mean? Because we were owners in the past. We were good stewards over our money and things. We were that, but you know, we've gotten away from that, and it's important that we are. So could you tell the people how to reach you?
Sure. So as usual, you can reach me on Instagram at NLL_credit_solutions. On Facebook as Next Level Living Credit Solutions. My name is James Gray. You can reach me on any one of those platforms. I'm sure you ladies are going to put something out there probably to let people know. But yeah, any one of those platforms, you can reach me. I'm not ashamed to give my phone number, but it's out there. So you can call me up and text me. You know, again, we talked about before, talking about credit is taboo. So a lot of people don't want to reach out to you on social media platforms. So, you know, my phone number is out there. Text me. Say, hey, I saw you on the show. I want to talk about my credit.
Yeah, I just DM'd you that. So you can just check that as soon as we're done. I'm serious about that 10 a.m. If you're available, go ahead and check your message there. Because I'm serious. So
no, this got to stop. No, seriously.
Again, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We look forward to having you back in the future. And by the time we have you back, hopefully you'll come back and we will be 100 points.
Not even higher. That. You know, I just want to be one of your testimonies.
Well, I was about to say, you guys could be my testimony.
That's all I want to be.
Right. Absolutely. But again, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And again, we'll be talking to you very soon.
Thank you both. Love you, ladies. Have a great day.
Love you too. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
All right.
Alrighty.
Take care.
Bye.